7 o'clock. I'm going to call the Coos Bay City Council meeting to order. Would you all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So before we get started with the public comments, I would like to have the council to address putting a resolution 22-16 on the agenda this evening. I need a majority to approve that, and we can hear that later on in the agenda, if everyone agrees. Is that approved? Okay. We don't need a motion for that, or do we?
I think you should have a motion.
Okay. So if I could get a motion to put resolution 22-16 on the agenda, I'd appreciate it.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to put resolution 22-16, -18, I guess. I apologize. -18 on the agenda. I know I need glasses, I think. Anyway, we'll put that at 5A, if that's all right. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing that, it passes. Okay, public comments. This is the time to come forth and give us your comment.
Mayor, we're asking for more volume if that's possible.
This is as loud as it gets.
Okay.
All right, sorry. I'll try to talk closer to the microphone, and if you can't hear us, we'll repeat ourselves. So anyway, this is public comments. It's a time for us to have public comments, preferably something that's not on the agenda. Just come forth, give us your name and where you reside. So the first one, now, just because I only have a list doesn't mean it's limited to the list. We can take more if necessary, or if anyone else wants to get up and speak after I go through the list. But we'll start with the list. Mo Iker. Hi, Mo.
Is this correct? Hello.
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
Good.
Hello, Mayor Benetti and city councilors. I'm here this evening because I'm a big fan. Thank you for all your hard work. I know what your paychecks are like. I think you've done a fabulous job in our city. I just want to say how proud I am of the progress that we made, how beautiful our city looks. And I also want to thank you because that wonderful pride flag, I missed the ceremony, but I came later and was able to talk to folks. And it's such a welcoming statement for our beautiful city and for all those who enter. So thank you, and I authentically thank you for all your hard work. I know how fun it is. Anyway, you hang in there, and thank you all.
Thank you, Mo. Appreciate it. Daryl Barr, is that correct? Hi, Daryl.
Yeah, I'm Daryl Barr. I live in Coos Bay, and I just want to ask that I understand there's some flags that I want the Christian flag flown. There was a deal passed last year about the flags being approved flags. I want to make sure the Christian flag is approved. I think all religions should be treated fairly as long as they aren't, satanic, but killing people, drinking blood. I think that as far as the development along the waterfront, I think it's great, but I kind of wonder why people aren't coming here from out of town to see a Verizon store or a television supply store. I think they should have like restaurants, more. Why is there an employment agency there, right? That's kind of a question I have. I think there's kind of a waste of space. And I don't want any flags that from an organization that supports killing my daughter, Down syndrome daughter, saying she shouldn't have been born. I'm not going to accept that. You know what organization I'm talking about. I don't want their flags flown in the city because my daughter deserves the right to live. She's just finished 2nd grade. She's aced 4th grade curriculum. So people don't like my Down syndrome daughter. They say she should have died. No, I'm not going to accept that. I'm not going to listen to it at all. So anyway, that's what I have to say right now. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just going to mention that it's a 3-minute time limit on your comments. I was remiss in doing that, so just keep that in mind. And Nate McClintock.
I keep the time, and when you have 1 minute, I'll say 1 minute, so you kind of start wrapping it up.
Eric, I'm sorry, I can't read the last name. Thank you.
Hello there, City Council.
Hello.
My name's Eric Clough.
live in Coos Bay here. And I have a couple of comments regarding, well, not directly regarding the Front Street blueprint, but regarding bicycle transportation and safe bicycle corridors within the city. And then a comment about the need I see for some real intense and close work between the city and ODOT to kind of get control of traffic on Highway 101. So especially crossing both the southbound and northbound lanes of 101. So it feels like it's, especially on the northbound lanes, once you pass the boardwalk entrance there, that's traffic control light. Once you get past there, it's kind of a free-for-all, and everybody just blasts off out of there. And it doesn't feel very comfortable crossing as a pedestrian or riding as a bicyclist. And I also want to say that I'm hoping to start maybe some learning from somebody at the city staff somewhere, I'm not sure exactly who, that I should contact about what kind of documents guide the city planning for road improvements and how bicycle and pedestrian transportation is incorporated into those kind of improvements. Because I'd really like to get involved in, as far as Front Street Community Bike Works, the business here, to help facilitate some more development of safe bicycle transportation corridors. So those are my comments.
So Eric, also, we're having a Blue Street, Front Street, you're more than welcome to make a comment at that time.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Richard, is it Kotsny? Did I say that correctly? Oh, hi Richard, how are you? I didn't recognize you with your mask. Maybe you don't recognize me either, hopefully.
So I have kind of a generalized comment.
Okay.
The United States of America is a secular nation. And there are a lot of Christians of all the different sects in this nation, along with Jews and Muslims and Hindus and probably every religious belief that people on this earth have. When the guys that put this place together, they wanted to make sure that people did have the freedom of their own religious beliefs. But they also understood that the religion has no place in the running of the government. And I kind of lost my train there for a moment. But basically, there's no place for religious symbols and any government property or, flags or anything. Like I said, we're a secular nation. The way we're able to maintain, the freedom of religion is by keeping it out of the government and not establishing any religion. Okay, I just think that needs to be said, and I think people need to understand it. So that's all I got to say right now.
All right, thank you. Pam Lewis?
As I like to talk, I have my own timer.
Hi, Pam.
Hi. Mayor Benetti, I miss fettuccine,
Thank you.
and I need to call Dina, Mr. Craddock, and have coffee. And I miss Jeff. I trained him. Good job, Jeff. Why isn't he here? Thank you for being friendly tonight. I appreciate it. My name is Pam Lewis. I do live in Coquille. Makes me a county resident. Makes me one that shops in Coos Bay. We used to have a good restaurant here. God bless you.
Thank you.
I am a person who went to school in Coquille. I graduated from Coquille. I live in Coquille. I gave Coquille ambulance service 30 years of volunteer as an EMT, many nights without sleep. Glad to have done it. My best accomplishment is that I'm a mother of 11 children. I have 2 in heaven, so actually there's 13. I have 2 on the ground that I got to birth, 2 that I got gifted, and I have 9 that I chose because of my faith, wherever he went, It says in there in James 1:27 that true religion that's pleasing to God is to take care of the widows and orphans. And I just kind of thought he meant it when he wrote it in there. So we went about adopting. Our oldest adopted, spent 20 years in the military intelligence, just retired. We have one sibling that has managed to get hooked into sex trade. She got shipped off to Guam and was a prostitute for the Guam. So we kind of lost her to drugs and maniacal stuff so that I care about that sex trade business and helping. I've got one that is a trainer for dogs, very good trainer. I have one that is a manager for a manufacturing plant.
You got 1 minute.
Thank you. I have one that has her master's degree in music, one that is in banking, one that is in food industry, one that is autistic and is a CPA for Portland. I have one that is a mama, takes care of her disabled brother, and one that's CNA for cancer. I am a proponent of great children. So I would love to have someone sponsor a flag for pro-life. I think I represent that well. I think I deserve that. If indeed we're going to hang up flags, let me have one that talks about how fabulous my children are, and each and every child that deserves life. Other than that, I would propose that we just go with the United States, Oregon State, and military flags. Thank you.
Thank you.
I did well on my time.
You did.
You did.
You had a few seconds left, I think, according to Nate. Rob Taylor?
Good evening, City Councilors. I've come to you tonight for a strange request. Boy, we're at a funny place in history right now, aren't we? A lot of things are going on, and I never thought I'd be up here coming to your city because I live in Bandon, but coming to your city because I have clients here, I have businesses that sponsor me for different events that I have, and they're all interested in being represented because the majority of them are Christians. I'm not, and that's why this is very odd for me, because I'm here to make a request, and the request is normally for a flag policy, a city would just have you come in, fill out a form, and you'd get your flag flown. And with your law, I have to ask really for a sponsorship from one of you city councilors. And so I would hope that one of you city councilors might be interested in sponsoring the Christian flag. And you can hang it for the religious purposes. I don't think you're establishing any religion, and I'll give you an example of that. You have a cross over here in Dominguez Park. We fought very hard to keep that cross. In fact, the city went all the way to the Supreme Court, if I remember, didn't you? And won that case. It's not about establishing religion, it's about defining our history. Judeo-Christianity built Western civilization. It built a good portion of the United States, and yes, it has its flaws and its faults, and I don't want to just pick on Christianity. All religions do. But they have these tenets in these religions, and I'll give you the first one. Almost every religion has the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And it's a simple rule, and it's something that is applied in the government. It's about equal application and equal application of the law. So if you're going to hang the flag of one group, I think that you should open that up to a lot more groups. Thank you. Because there are a lot of people out there in this city, just more than the one flag you've flown. And I want to show you this. You know, until last month, I couldn't remember what a Christian flag looked like. I hadn't been into a church. And this has been around since 1897. It's made up of the same colors that makes up the United States flags, red, blue, and white. And that's why I think you should, one of you should step up and sponsor the Christian flag, and all religions if you would. And I'd prefer it to be flown around Easter. That was when our Christ died and was resurrected. And that also is something that applies to what we're living through today. You know, we go through a lot of pain and suffering, but there's always a rebirth. We can make new again. And I think the best way to connect with the rest of your citizens is to fly something that represents them. And I wouldn't worry about establishing religion. Your first thing you did when you came in here was pledge allegiance. One nation under God. Doesn't matter which God. It's just that you did it. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Joss Haystad?
Bear with me here. It's been a long day. I just left work to get here. Rob pretty much covered most of what I had to say, so I'm not going to rehash all of that. But again, I would like to request that the Christian flag get flown in April over the month of Easter to represent the Christians in this community. And I also have a flag, and I would be more than happy to donate it. So I don't know how to go about doing that, but again, I guess I'll just make this short because Rob pretty much had me covered there. So thank you for your time. And if I can get some kind of information or feedback real quick about how we can go about doing that process, if I need to donate a flag or if the city will provide one for that purpose.
After I take all the testimony, Josh, I'll go through what's available and make it known to you, okay? And then you guys can proceed that way.
All right.
Instead of answering everyone one at a time, I think it'd be easier to let everyone testify, and then we'll go ahead and close the public comments, and then the council can make comments themselves.
All right.
All right.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you. Matt Wilbanks?
Good evening. My name is Matt Wilbanks, Coos Bay. I'm here to request a flag as well. I do want to second or third the support for the Christian flag. I'm definitely with Josh and Rob on the support for that, and as I'm a Coos Bay resident, maybe it lends a little more credence to it since they're not living here. I want to request the Gadsden flag. Just wanted to show that for anybody who doesn't know it by its true name. I'm just going to read some real quick history here. In the fall of 1775, the Continental Navy was established by General George Washington in his role as Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Forces before Isaac Hopkins was named Commodore of the Navy. Those first ships were used to intercept incoming transport ships carrying war supplies to the British and the colonies in order to supply the Continental Army, which was desperately undersupplied in the opening years of the American Revolutionary War. The Second Continental Congress authorized the mustering of 5 companies of Marines to accompany the Navy on their first mission. Continental Colonel Christopher Gadsden represented his home state of South Carolina and was one of 7 members of the Marine Committee outfitting the first naval mission. The first Marines enlisted in the city of Philadelphia and carried drums painted yellow and depicting a coiled rattlesnake with 13 rattles, along with the motto, "Don't tread on me." This is the first recorded mention of the future Gadsden flag's symbolism. Before the departure of that first mission in December 1775, the newly appointed Commander-in-Chief of the Navy, Commodore Hopkins, received a yellow rattlesnake flag from Gadsden to serve as the distinctive personal standard of his flagship. Hopkins had previously led the United Companies of the Train of Artillery of the town of Providence, which had a similar flag before being appointed to lead the Navy. The flag was a warning to Great Britain not to trample the liberties of its subjects. By 1775, though, especially after the Prohibitory Act, many American colonists did not see themselves as subjects to the crown, but instead as independent individuals possessing the rights of liberty and revolution. These rapidly growing convictions helped fuel the flag's adoption. Gadsden also presented a copy of this flag to the Congress of South Carolina in Charleston, South Carolina. This was recorded in the South Carolina Congressional Journals on February 9, 1776. Colonel Gadsden presented a flag to the Congress, an elegant standard such as is used to be used by the Commander-in-Chief of the American Navy. Being a yellow field with a lively representation of the rattlesnake in the middle in the attitude of going to strike, and these words underneath, "Don't tread on me." I believe the Gadsden flag is probably one of the most well-known of the American Revolutionary era flags, and definitely something that we should fly, preferably in September would be my preference for to represent the anniversary of 9/11. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I think, is it Karen Stringfield? Corinne, I apologize.
Oh, were you getting somebody else?
No, sorry.
Hello, Council. Good evening. I came here tonight because it was made apparent to me that there were some fascist, bigoted forces, one of which that was a speaker here, assaulted me last September just for filming their event. But that aside, it is seemingly apparent that 3 flags have been proposed to you. The Gadsden flag, which did serve as a revolutionary symbol in the 1700s, but has since been co-opted by fascistic right-wing forces in the United States. I want to voice opposition to that. I want to voice opposition to the pro-life flag unless the city takes a pro-life stance, which is wrong. I think that you should protect reproductive rights here in Coos Bay. And I want to go ahead and oppose the proposal for the Christian flag as well, because there is a separation of church and state, and I don't think you should be making an endorsement of any religion unless you're prepared to go ahead and put forth the motion to fly all these different religious flags. And I don't think that's a good use of your money here. What I would suggest, and I think that this is a good way to honor our veterans and stand against the bigoted forces of our past, like some of our relatives may have done back in World War II, is to go ahead and from the week following September 2nd, which will be the anniversary of the end of World War II, I propose that you fly the flags of the big 3, that being the United States flag, the United Kingdom, and the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics flags. That is all. Have a good night.
Okay, so is there anyone in the audience that would like to come up and speak that has not? Yes, come on up.
Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Just give us your name and where you
Yes.
reside, please.
I'm Katja Donato. I reside in Coos Bay. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I wasn't planning on it, but I wanted to comment on the confusion that exists in a lot of people about the separation of church and state. All it means is that the state cannot dictate a state religion, as some countries do. Saudi Arabia, you can only be a Muslim. I could come up with other examples if I had prepared myself. So that's all it means. A lot of people confuse it and think that you can't have the 10 Commandments up in a public place and stuff like that. The other thing I wanted to say was that while we all would like flags that represent all of us, that's the Christian flag because it stands for the free offer of Christ to everyone in the world, that his death provided salvation for all and the opportunity to have eternal life. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, yes? Sir, you already spoke, I'm sorry. Okay, we're not just 3 minutes. No, sorry. Anyone else? Yes.
Howdy, I'm Jim Kingsley, live in Coos Bay, and good evening. We have a whole bunch of flagpoles out front, out by the waterfront, and we have diversity in our city and all, and there are a lot of different flags that could be flown. We have 5 branches of military. You could fly one of their flags. All Christian denominations have their own flag, but a non-denominational flag would be sufficient. We have service clubs, we have Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, fire service, the Thin Blue Line flag, and others. What I would like is for us to fly all flags. If you can't fly them all, you can't fly any. That's it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else? Yes.
My name is Garrett King, and I am a Coos Bay resident. I just wanted to point two historical facts out. One is that many of our founding fathers were in fact not Judeo-Christian. They might have been influenced by that, but they were deist, which means they believe in a higher God, that there was a creator, but then that God left Earth and did not influence it in any way. They were influenced by Enlightenment ideals. This was a very fashionable Enlightenment idea. And so saying that our founding fathers were in fact Christian is just historically inaccurate. Some were in fact, but many were not. And George Washington and Thomas Jefferson are two well-known deists. The other fact is that under God in our Pledge of Allegiance and in our currency was added in the 50s to combat communism. Communism in the Soviet Union was secular. And so Eisenhower and other politicians wanted to counteract that by putting under God in our Pledge of Allegiance and in our currency. We didn't even have currency like we have today until well into the Civil War. So under God on our money, in our Pledge of Allegiance, those sort of things are new additions in the last 70 years as a fact. I also would like to thank you for the beautiful work that you've done on the boardwalk and making Coos Bay an inclusive place. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, anybody online, virtually, that would like to make a comment? Oh, I apologize. Oh, sorry, didn't see you over there.
Good evening, everybody. Mr. Mayor, councils.
Name, please?
Richard Baxter.
Okay.
I was here last fall. I thought you'd remember me.
I'm sorry.
But anyway, when you were getting Sarah her job, I was one of the people. But I came to several meetings, and I did see when the proposal for the pride flag that's downtown was brought forward, there was quite a bit of discussion. And if I remember correctly, your city attorney said that this could open up a can of worms. And I believe tonight has kind of shown you what's about to happen or what is happening. I don't really care about which one's there, which one isn't, but my personal opinion is I don't believe that any 6 or 7, 8 people in the city of this size should have the right to make the decision of whatever flies over this city. And that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone virtually that's online would like to make a comment? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to close public comments. And so I'll address a few of these things. I think Daryl mentioned about having certain stores in this town. We have no control over what businesses come into here or not. That's up to an individual or a corporation to make that decision. The city doesn't put business in here. Eric, on the bicycles, I told you there's another time to speak to that on the blueprint for Front Street and some other ones. And then as far as the flags, we have, as Mr. Taylor stated, we have a flag policy. It's on our website. There's a process to go through that to get a flag put up. And that's what I have to recommend to all of you with these different flags and different solutions of putting them up. The process that's been done so far is what we have done. As long as we can meet the law by doing that, we will. But we have a process, and so I recommend or suggest to you, if you want to do that, and you would be supplying a flag at that time, you would have to get your own flag to fly, but you have to go through this policy. So that's what we have in place. If we don't want to continue on with that, that's another aspect that we can do, as Richard, the last speaker, had stated. But at this time, that's what we have in place, and that's what we'll follow. So I do appreciate your time of coming here and expressing yourselves. It makes us think and makes us help us in our decisions. So thank you so much. So we'll continue on with our agenda. We'd love to have you stay.
Can I toss a piece in real quick?
Yes.
Sorry. The Gadsden flag, that one, it was mentioned as being used by the Navy. That was replaced with the first naval jack. It looks similar. Ran from 75 to 76, and then through the time I served, but it started again in 2002 and ran through 2019. It was discontinued because a bunch of boils on the backside of society decided to start using it for racist purposes. That is where that went. That's all I had.
Ma'am, I'm sorry. We took public comment, so.
I'm
if
not
you
saying
please-
people that support it do. That's why it stopped usage in the
All right.
Navy.
Okay, so I guess we'll ask, since Drew has made a comment, does anyone else in the council want to make a comment at this time? And we have Councilor Kilmer that is virtual also. I was remiss in mentioning that. All right, so again, you can go to it's under government, on our page, and it's under city codes, plans, standards, and policies. I think Mr. Taylor found it in standards and policies. It says flag policy. So you can more than welcome to review that, and it gives you the process of how to proceed if you are interested. Thank you so much. All right? Okay. For council, the first thing on the agenda now is consent calendar. How would you like to proceed?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the consent calendar as presented. Is there any other comments on that? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none passes. Okay, approval, appointments to the library board. Melissa, I think you had some
I have
paper?
paper and I sent out ballots by email.
Okay, so the ones here, I prefer paper, so.
I agree.
Stephanie, you're on your own up there.
Transfer cheap. No, how would you do that?
She got an email.
She's got an email.
Sorry, old fashioned.
That's okay.
Oops.
Harvard passed out.
Here, I got one.
I emailed mine. Already emailed mine.
Oh, you did? Oh, thanks.
I emailed mine too.
I'll go ahead and do the paper.
And I'm sure Sarah did the same, right?
Yeah, she
I
said
did,
she did.
So for the audience and everyone virtual, we had some openings on the library board. We had 2 openings, and we had 4 people that had applied for it, which I appreciate all of you applying. And now the difficult task of the council is to choose 2, which is very difficult. But I can tell you this, whatever 2 are not chosen, please keep in mind that there's other openings, and volunteerism is really important to us. So thank you so much for all of you applying.
Ida Gates and Jenny De Leon.
Say that again, please.
Ida Gates and Jenny De Leon.
Okay. So congratulations to the 2. And again, please, the 2 that were not chosen, please apply again. We have many openings and many volunteer positions. So thank you so much. The next item on the agenda is approval of the National Boys and Girls Club Week Proclamation. And I understand Troy Cribbins is here to read the proclamation. Welcome, Troy. And thank you for doing this.
Sure. Good evening, Mayor, council members, staff. My name is Troy Cribbins. I'm here as representation as the board of the Boys and Girls Club of Southwestern Oregon. I'm going to read a proclamation, and I guess, Mr. Mayor, you're going to finish it.
Correct. I will finish it off, Troy. Yes.
Whereas the young people of Coos Bay are tomorrow's leaders, and whereas many young people need professional youth services to help them achieve their full potential, and whereas the Boys and Girls Club of Southwestern Oregon serve more than 2,800 young people annually, and whereas the Boys and Girls Clubs instill young people with the self-confidence to believe they can succeed at anything they put their mind to, and stand at the forefront of efforts in the areas of academic success, character and leadership, and healthy lifestyles. And whereas Boys and Girls Club organizations in Oregon help ensure young people have a safe, supportive place to spend time and will provide them with quality youth development programs. And whereas the Boys and Girls Club of Southwestern Oregon will celebrate National Boys and Girls Club Week with some more than 4,700 other clubs and over 4.6 million more children and teens served nationwide.
Now, therefore, I, Joe Benetti, Mayor of the City of Coos Bay, and on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim June 27th through July 1st, 2021 as Boys and Girls Club Week in the City of Coos Bay. Furthermore, I encourage all citizens to join me in recognizing and commending Boys and Girls Club for providing the young people of our communities with comprehensive and effective youth development services.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Do you need me to stay and do anything after that? Or?
Nope,
Okay.
but I do need a motion from the council in a second.
I will make a motion to approve the proclamation designating June 27th through July 1st, 2022 as National Boys and Girls Club Week.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the National Boys and Girls Club Week proclamation. Any other comments or discussion on it?
I just want to say, full disclosure, I've worked for the Boys and Girls Club for 22 years now. I started back in 2000 when I was finishing up my college, and it was just a part-time job, and I've never left just because I consider it one of the best youth-serving organizations in the nation.
I just want to expound on it a little bit. It's a wonderful organization. It's done so much for our community with the boys, young kids in this community. What they do, and they keep expanding their their programs. It's wonderful, and we're very fortunate to have people like yourself and Rob involved. So thank you so much.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
With that said, any other comments? If not, I'll call for the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Thank you again, Troy. It's always nice to see you. Okay, so next item is what we added to the agenda. It's a resolution that 22-18. Anyway, it's a resolution authorizing the City of Coos Bay to send the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management, BOEM, and the Oregon Department of Energy, ODOE, a letter of recommendations regarding offshore wind energy. Roger, can you give us a little background on this, please?
Yes. Currently, across the nation, BOEM is looking at what they call call locations, where potentially large wind energy devices will be set off the shores of both the east and west coast, and I'm assuming also off of our south coast. Some places have already been identified on the east coast, and they're currently looking at areas on the west coast. Obviously, of great concern to our local fisheries is that if those are to be placed, and people do believe they will be placed, that they be placed in a location that does not adversely affect our local fisheries. I think there's concern about the current call locations that it will have an impact, and currently BOEM is taking public comments. A number of cities, counties, and ports have already submitted comments. I believe the Coos County Commissioners undertook a motion today to send a letter. I know, Mayor, that you were asked to consider such a resolution, and we have presented one for you today. Should you wish to adopt this resolution, then staff will go ahead and submit that as your public comment.
All right, thank you, Roger. So I think we have some public comments on this. Is Heather Mann here or online virtually? If you want to go ahead and make a comment, I believe you were going to.
Thank you. Here, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you. So I just want to remind everyone it's still a 3-minute time frame. Okay. All right.
Great. Well, thanks for letting me make a comment. My name is Heather, I am the Executive Director of the New Water Development. Fishermen are all up and down the coast, locations west of them. We fish primarily and grounded fish on the west coast.
and opinions.
We are offshore wind, not just on our fishing grounds, but on the environment. And we would encourage you to support the resolution before you today. This is our 5th meeting today of different municipalities, and everybody's gotten on board with supporting it. It's not saying let's don't ever move forward with this renewable energy. It's saying let's do it in a smart way. And I think what I've heard so far tonight is you were all very thoughtful, and so I'm hopeful that you'll agree that this is a smart way forward. And I apologize for all the dogs jumping in. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Heather. Any comments for Heather or questions? No, it's nice to have a little change up with this comment. So it's nice to have a dog in the background once in a while. So Nick, I think Edwards is also online. Anytime, Nick. Uh-oh, virtual problem.
Still on mute, Nick.
You're muted, Nick. Need to unmute. Well, what we'll do is if he unmutes and can make a comment, we'll be glad to take it. So is there anyone else?
With their hand up on her.
Who did? That's Nick
That's
Edwards.
No, there's another person too.
Oh, okay. Is there someone else online that would like to make a comment? Please do. Just identify yourself so we know who you are. Is there anyone? The initials are BB with your hand up.
Brian Blake.
Okay, Brian, I'm sorry, thank you. Can you have him make a comment? Okay, anybody else virtually?
Looks like Yelena, if I can read that correctly.
We're having trouble here, huh?
Doesn't let me unmute them.
Let's see if we can, maybe it's on our end. Let's check. Wait just a second, please.
Oh, I thought that was Heather Mann.
I tried again asking for public comments. Evidently, there was a period of time when you couldn't hear on Teams.
Pardon?
I might go ahead and ask for public comments again now.
Okay, public comments. Nick? Brian? Okay, who's? Nick?
I think we have hands raised on there, but
Okay.
you guys went silent for a long time. I'll turn on my camera.
Uh-oh. All right, Nick, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. For the record, my name is Nick Edwards. I'm a third-generation fisherman, 43 years out of Charleston. I own the fishing vessel Carter John out of Coos Bay, and I live here in Coos Bay. I'm representing Shrimp Producers Marketing Cooperative today. Our 30 vessels harvest pink shrimp in Oregon, Washington, and California waters. And our Jordanic pink shrimp gets exported all over the world. In the last 2 months, there have been 9 meetings on offshore wind up and down the
loans and clear message that our ecosystems and our sustainable fisheries are expendable for offshore wind and the native climate change. I really want to thank Mayor Joe Benetti for putting this on the agenda for discussion. This is very, very important.
So close. Okay, Brian, did you have a comment?
Yeah, Brian Blake with Ocean Companies, Ocean Golden Seafood. We're a seafood processing company, and we have started making investments in the Coos Bay area, and we're just very concerned about the impacts to the fisheries off the coast and to our business, and I think fishing will be very consistent with Nick and Heather and Elena's testimony that you're about to hear. So, short and sweet, I know you're busy tonight. Thank you much.
Thank you. Elena?
Hi everyone, good evening. Thank you so much for this opportunity to comment today. My name is Elena Muller. I'm the Executive Director of the Oregon Chalk Commission. We're located in Brookings, but we cover coastwide transportation sector. Our fisheries include Oregon kingfin, midwater whiting and rockfish, freshwater-based sector, and groups called roundfish vessels, all of which deliver to Oregon. Again, thank you for this opportunity. I will be brief. I appreciate you adding this important item to the agenda. This issue is overwhelming as whole. The process is not transparent. There is not more accountability. Just from our perspective, looking at how Boeing approaches business. They're there to lease that ocean land and nothing else. They will ask who will be responsible when issues occur, when someone gets hurt, for example, a vessel fisherman, and the answer was Coast Guard. The environmental concerns are immense. Starting with impacts to the marine habitat, ecosystem, fisheries, whales, electromagnetic fields, impact to salmon. We are very concerned about the recent studies coming out about the California current system and the upwelling. Our California current system is one of the top 4 most productive ocean areas in the world. The information is coming out that the large-scale offshore wind farms can impact weather as well, reducing precipitation in some areas. Again, I appreciate you taking on this agenda item to consider adopting this resolution that's needed.
You have 1 more minute, so wrap it up.
Thank you. And the Department of Energy. We held numerous meetings here recently on the coast, including the state legislature, hosting the recent sessions with around 700 people showing up with many different concerns, as well as Boeing meetings. And one takeaway is Boeing could not answer pretty much anything. They will know the impacts when the projects will happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more virtual comments?
Carrie Silva.
Who is it?
Carrie Silva.
Carrie? Did you want to make a comment?
Yes, I did. I'm going to leave my video off because
Okay.
connection. Okay. My name is Carrie Silva. I am a wife of a second-generation fisherman, a mother to a third. We are proud owners of the Jeanette Marie out of Charleston. My husband John has spent his 40-year fishing career in the fishing grounds that Boeing has designated Paul area. Our son Hank is in his 14. Together they have been keepers of the sea. As commercial fishermen, they know how important it is to be conservation. They protect
You've got 1 minute. You need to wrap it up.
Okay, very concerned about the future of the fishing industry. We need BOEM to slow the process down and do what is right. Have a comprehensive environmental impact study done. Fishermen have become better conservationists for the past 25 years. We have requested BOEM to join them by slowing down the process and do what is right. Now we're asking you to help the fishing industry and to pass the resolution before you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else more or virtually for comments? Anyone?
Hey, Joe?
Yes.
Yeah, this is Nick Edwards. My wife's computer crashed, but I just wanted to throw out there that after 5 meetings, that's why it probably crashed. But maybe as a little zinger for you, maybe you guys could consider a Protect U.S. Fisherman flag. We're really going to hammer you for the rest of my votes. Protect U.S. Fisherman flag.
Thank you, Nick. All right, anyone in the audience like to make a comment on this? So since I brought the resolution, I do support this. I don't think this resolution does not oppose wind energy. In fact, I think it just supports it. We're trying to find a balance between the fishermen and the other entities in the community and wind energy. This evening also, I've been notified to ask, besides Coos County passing an ordinance or resolution similar, Astoria did today, Porter Brookings, Coos County Commissioners did, as I mentioned, and the Port of Astoria also, and the Port of Toledo did. So anyway, those are my comments. Other comments or action? Whichever.
Because of my wife's work, I hear about BOEM quite a bit, and one of the things I've never heard about is them considering public input. So I think this is a good statement to make for them.
Anyone else on the council? I know, Stephanie, that you attended some meetings. You told me about this. Is she there?
Yes.
She might have gotten knocked off. All right, so we're to the point.
I am here.
Okay.
I didn't have any comments. I did attend the meetings, at least one of the meetings, heard numerous concerns from a variety, from scientists to fishermen. I really didn't have any comment.
Okay. So, council, what kind of action would you like to take on this?
I'll make a resolution, I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 2218.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt Resolution 22-18. Are there any more comments or questions from the council?
I just want to thank the speakers today. I think would also like to thank you, Mr. Mayor, for bringing this to council's attention. I think we can't give up a food source for an energy source, and so I'm grateful to you and this council for hopefully approving this resolution, and I really thank the speakers who came today.
All right, anyone else? Hearing that, I'll call for the question. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. And I want to thank everyone for participating and in coming forth. Thank you. No, it's fine. We appreciate it, Mo. It's nice. Okay, so the next item is we're going to have is a public hearing for adoption for the Front Street Blueprint and Resolution 22-16 and review of the proposed related transportation system plan amendments. And Carolyn, I think you're online, wants to give us, and Jim Hankey, who's with David Evans and has been involved in this process. Welcome. So who's going first, Carolyn?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity this evening to speak with you and continue the forward movement on the Front Street Blueprint. The city has been working on a vision for this area for many, many years, and the blueprint is the culmination of that work. We're asking you this evening to take a look at the blueprint that's been created by an advisory committee with help from Front Street property and business owners, stakeholders who commented, many citizens who participated in a public engagement effort that the city put on along with DPA and their consultants, as well as ODOT staff, PLCD staff, and others who have worked on this. The focus this evening is for the council to accept public comments on the draft plan, and then
Thanks, Carolyn. Jim?
Great. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. And a question, if I need to share my screen or if someone there will be presenting the slides.
You should have ability to share your screen.
Great, I will do that. Give me one moment. Okay, can everyone see the title slide?
Yes.
Well, let me jump right in. With me, joining me tonight to help answer questions is Alice Hodge with JLA Public Involvement. My name is Jim Hankey, and I was the consultant team project manager for the Front Street Blueprint. And tonight, it's really exciting because we have completed our process and advanced the city's vision for the Front Street area. And I'm going to review quickly the people involved, the project purpose, the process we went through, and then spend most of the time on the elements of the blueprint vision, the phasing, a little bit about how funding could play out, and save lots of time, questions and answers at the end. I believe Carolyn mentioned many people involved. I'm not going to read every name on this slide, but thank you all for collaborating with us and the numerous agencies such as ODOT and the city, the Coos Bay City Solar Planning Commission, business owner. So many people came together to help shape this vision, and really a heartfelt thanks to all of you. The purpose of the project blueprint was to advance the city's vision for the Front Street area into a more bustling, vibrant, and inviting district with a mix of waterfront-related industrial employment, commercial, and limited residential uses. This is something we've been working on at the city for several decades. Most recently, prior to the blueprint, by adopting the Front Street Action Plan back in 2017. The blueprint moves that forward, and the vision is really a balance of business, tourism, and residents. The process we've gone through over the past year during COVID has included a number of meetings where we've worked with an advisory committee made up of citizens of Coos Bay and business owners. We began earlier in 2021, but we met several times back in September, in January, and then more recently, right at the end of May, there was some planning commission meetings between late November, early December, again in January, and then most recently again at the end of May. And later in the process, 2 meetings with a collection of waterfront property owners and businesses really helped inform the content of the plan. And now here we are in the late June, taking final action draft Front Street Blueprint here with you tonight. Broadly speaking, the blueprint addresses 7 needs. Number 1, bike and head setbacks. Number 2, access intersections. 3, help realize the potential of the area and advance the city's vision of enhancement. You can see here the Coos Bay History Museum on the north end, and a long list of potential improvements or enhancements in there. It begins with working with the museum, making some kind of a physical pedestrian connection between their existing waterfront walkway and a new connection alongside Front Street. And we've kind of sketched in something that might represent a design, but there will be coordination in the museum to make a final decision on what this walkway connection looks like. There could be some planting enhancements along the embankment, the water, and then north end, similar to the south end, we imagine that the pedestrian gateway and directory sign could be created in addition to what we're calling out as a north fork. It's kind of the idea of taking what you have existing on the south and building something that looks like that on the north end. There could be a way to access the wall, perhaps, and this would be potentially some new on-street angle parking along the edge of Front Street. We've shown a pedestrian crosswalk, which would be new, because we believe pedestrians who like to travel in the shortest distance between destinations may want to circulate between the History Museum and the Printing Museum. They cross the street here. There was a concern expressed about people coming off of Bayshore Drive and conflicting with that crossing. So we have a suggestion about perhaps limiting the First Street to just right turns out and not allowing right turns here, because you can access Front Street from the many other streets to head up here to the north. Heading south, here's that boardwalk that I mentioned at the angle parking. We want to preserve as much of the on-street angle parking as we can, and we've tried to indicate that. We'll talk a little more about parking later in the presentation. There's some gaps in sidewalks, and we tried to indicate that over time, the city could coordinate with property owners to fill in those gaps so that pedestrians feel more welcome circulating where historically there's been a lot of trucks and parking up here. And we don't want those to go away necessarily. We just want to improve how they coexist together. So we've called it out as some future pavement infill in the north end on the west side. You'll notice rail line, which runs down the center of the street, and not really proposing much change to the rail. It's a historic combination of transportation elements that the city has coexisted with for a long time, and based on the base constraint, we studied it and that type of coexistence could just go on as is, although there's areas where pedestrian crossings and intersections could be enhanced with some additional markings to make that safer. You'll notice that we've pulled out all the existing driveways in the area are envisioned as being preserved because access to the businesses is critical. And then here at number 15, we've identified a potential location where over time a public overlook might be developed in collaboration with adjacent businesses. constructed. But we've gone ahead and drawn that in. That will be adding some additional parking spaces to the district. On Bayshore, today people can park along the curb, and we envision that remaining. There may be ways to enhance the striping and signage, and that's something identified in the city will continue coordinating with ODOT to make sure those designs meet their criteria. And there's a few locations, like here at First Street and in other locations, where crosswalk enhancements from east to west on door may also be something that ODOT can improve. Again, this will take time and final curve being in view from ODOT. Heading south, could be some artwork at the parking lot. Identify the potential location for a sculpture. There could be some interpretive signage located on either existing or enhanced fencing that some property owners have on their west side of the side of Front Street. And then late in the process, we heard that from food trucks are beginning to come in here just south of Stephen Avenue. But we wanted to add that to our some actions that happen in the area. Now jumping over to the south person, here we are at Burke Avenue, Front Street for turns. The on-street parking is envisioned as remaining. And then at Birch and Alder are two more areas where over time and overlook
Okay, so before I open the public hearing, council, do you have any questions for Carolyn or Jim or Alice?
I have a question. So I'm curious, what is happening on the east side of Front Street that we're going from 56 spaces down to 0 or 20?
Well, here's what I'll do. I'll bring the plan back. So, some of the, let me go back to the parking account. We've reconfigured some spaces into angle parking. So today, on the north end, you'll notice it's parallel parking. So you could add these two numbers together, and that starts to be more of a total accounting on the east side. I'll go back a second. So we protected some driveways and things, so we don't think we can save every single space on the east side, but we've really worked hard to try to come up with saving as many as possible. And here on the south end, where we show the one-way section, this is where, because of space constraint, we're trying to show that this is like a flexible zone where you can park or walk or ride your bike, sort of coexist in a shared zone, so that you still have the driveways for the businesses, but you have been enhanced for bikes and pets. Does that get to your question?
Sort of. Thank you.
That reminded me of mine, though. Having a shared bike pedestrian parking place seems counterintuitive to why all three of those are not the same thing. Having people park where somebody might try and ride their bike, especially parallel park, I know people who can barely do that safely when it's a parking space.
Yeah, it's a challenge. I think the near-term vision is to keep the street functioning as is and focus on things like directory signs, maybe the fencing, facade improvements, and not really change much about what's between the curves on the street. I showed the spray paint, the stencils of the low-cost idea, so that's really more of a phase one idea, like maybe we try some creative ways to enhance the bike and pedestrian usage, but keep the parking.
And Rob, I just want to, the east side parking, if you go down there now, the sidewalk's very narrow.
Yeah.
So if we expand the sidewalk, then we get close to the train and the railroad tracks, so there won't be room for parking along there. So what we've done, well, what the intent was behind the committee, is to displace that parking and add like the parking lot and also the diagonal parking down by 999, and then also enhance parking that we haven't done on 101. I mean, right now, it's not striped, it's not blocked, a lot of people don't even know about it. So, you know, those are things that can be utilized that's really not to pick up the parking that we're lacking by taking the east side parking off.
And that was a big concern of the business owners down there. And so the committee as a group, made that commitment that we wanted to see if there were other opportunities to park on 101.
Yeah, and making one way coming in, is it Alder, and making that a one way, by doing that, and if we take that wayfinding, for the motorhomes, the dump station, I guess is a better way to put it. If we move that, which has been talked about, then that also allows some parking to be done there diagonally. And so there's some creative ways that are available to us if we want to think outside the box there and do that kind of thing. That's why the other talked about the one way down through there, and then it goes back into two-way. So anyway. And we did have, I just want to make sure that we know that We had 2 meetings with businesses. I had one myself with that Heidi Sauce initiated. And then we had another one with Jim and Carolyn, and Lucinda was there also, and Roger. And we had another one with the business owners. And then we had our planning commission meeting. I think there was 1 or 2 of those, and then now we're having this one, and I'll open the public hearing to see if there's any other more comments.
I think that, is it discussion now, or do you want me to wait till after the public hearing?
Maybe the public hearing. Stephanie, you had a quick comment?
Just a question, sir, but I can wait until after the public hearing.
You sure? All right.
My comment, I really appreciate the working element that this plan takes into account for. I know that I use Front Street a lot when I'm trying to get back up to downtown, and my concern was just by making that one section between, I believe it's Alder and Market, one way. I've used both streets, and my concern would be, I always go down into Market because it's much easier to get across 101 because you can see so far. And then there's a lighted signal there to be able to get back down.
Yeah, safety was another.
That would be available if it was only going north.
Yeah, safety was another concern that came up with the 2-way traffic there. And I think we can reference Chief Chapman if we want to get into more of that. But that's going to be something for us to discuss. All right. Any questions before we go further? Okay, so I'm going to open a public hearing. So this will be the time that anyone has a comment on the Front Street Blueprint Plan, what's been presented. Would be time to come forth, give your comment, and please do so. Anyone? Yes, come on up. Thank you for waiting and being so patient.
Oh, no worries. My name is Mike Powder, and I live in Empire area. And when the COVID hit, I, like many people, got myself an electric bike and got all excited. I'm going to ride my bike and go all these places. And when I saw the plan for this, I got excited about it too. So I saw the plan, and what I do is I hop on my bike in Empire and I ride my bike down to the area. Well, I think everybody needs to ride a bike or get in a wheelchair and go on Coos Bay streets for a month, because you will learn you're taking your life in your hands. Every week I drive down to the market on my bike and I have to hop the sidewalk. Well, there's a problem. In the state of Oregon, it's illegal for an electric bike to go on the sidewalk. But if you're going down Ocean Boulevard, you're going to either be dead on the road or you're going to get a ticket for being on the sidewalk. Also, electric bikes are geared to 20 miles an hour maximum limit. You're supposed to share the road on Ocean Boulevard at 40 miles an hour. Now, most people are doing 50 down Ocean Boulevard, that's a fact. I've been smoked at and I've been sworn at and I've been a whole lot of things, but I still do it every week. A lot of times I do break the law, arrest me, I'm on the sidewalk. Then when you go past the church, you come down Central, all of a sudden it's absolutely dangerous. It always amazes me because when you look at a city street, you got one way this way, one way that way, and then regardless, you got a 2-way left turn lane that takes up a bulk of the area too. Even coming into town, there's a 2-way left turn lane on the bridge. So if you want to make a left turn into the river, it's there for you. So, but there's no bike lane. You have to go up on the sidewalk, and it's hairy. So the plan is fantastic to get this. But when I look at it, and I've done a lot of studying since I got all excited about bikes, and I've seen what other cities have done. I have been to Seattle, I've been to Eugene, I've been to Portland, I've been down to San Diego, San Luis Obispo, and I've seen what a lot of these places do. And a lot of places that really prosper are those that can actually kick the cars out of the area, so that you don't have to have pedestrians and bicycles mixed in with cars. You know, it's like riding a bike around a Walmart parking lot. You know, if you go around Walmart parking lot on a bike, it is a very dangerous area to be. I mean, some of these vehicles, you take a pickup truck, they got a big ram on there, the guy can hardly see anything, and it's powered by some monster engine, 4,000 pounds or something like that. That's what you face. You know, I mean, if you're on a bike and you hit a pedestrian, yeah, you both end up with a little bruise or something. You're on a bike and you get hit by, just clipped by a truck, you're flat, you're out of it. So I think my input is, it is good Try and do what you can to keep cars away from people. Definitely look at bike infrastructure. And with bike lanes, you look at bike lanes too, there's a whole science on it. And I've been looking at all this stuff too. A painted line in the gutter is not a bike lane. That does not save you from anything. And sometimes they're not maintained. You can see when you turn around corners how it's worn off, because that's how cars cut corners and stuff like that. My big recommendation is everybody get on a bike and try riding a bike. And I have been down to some of the tourist spots and talked to tourists, seen their bikes on the back of their rigs. They leave them on their rigs. They don't get them off in Coos Bay because they tell me it's too dangerous. They say it's too dangerous to ride a bike in Coos Bay, so the tourists don't take them on there. It's the same up the coast too. Seaside's a disaster. I don't know why we're so car dependent. We encourage cars. We make cars our priority. We provide parking for them. We spend a lot of money on parking for them. We've got to learn how to push cars away.
Time's up.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate the comment. Be safe.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Okay, any other public comments? Come on up. Thank you for hanging around.
Yeah, no problem. And so, yeah, my name's Eric again, and I was on the committee for the blueprint plan. And it was a great process, I thought, and I think the document that's been produced has some really nice vision components to it. I believe it is just a working document and can evolve and change. So what you see on there, including the number of parking spaces and all that, can evolve and change. And I really like the idea of having a group that over time works with that issue, because we may not have a problem right away, but we may as things develop. And I want to express my appreciation for the comments from the last speaker. And I think I've said this before to the city council, is that, if you ride your bike around here, you'll understand what the problems are. And you'll hear people say, well, there's nobody that rides a bike around here. Bikes aren't used in this community. It's not safe, which it certainly isn't. There's too many hills. It's too windy. But, we can do things to encourage more cycling. And as our previous speaker alluded, I think cars are actually slowly killing us. So we need to really help make a transition to a more bicycle-friendly community within our limits. Now, the uses on Front Street specifically for this plan, there's a lot going on Front Street. And Jim has been very diplomatic and very tactful with the way he spoke about things. But issues like the rail line, it's really cool to have a rail line going through one of your historic streets in your city. That's awesome. But it does present some obvious safety problems. I would like to see and express my support for these phase one issues that should be relatively low cost for the city. And I'll specifically call out this stenciling and signage to make motorists aware that there are pedestrians and there are cyclists. There's just not enough of that around here, and it may be a big lift to try to get a dedicated bike lane that's isolated from traffic everywhere. We could probably do that in certain places, but signage at least is something I think we can do in the short term. So please, let's push that forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Any other public comments on the plan? Anyone? Okay, hearing none, I'll close. No, I'm not going to close it. We're going to postpone it to July 5th, the public hearing. So, but we'll do some deliberation for the council. I just want to tell Eric, thank you for serving on the committee. I appreciate it, and I want to thank all the committee members. Ollie, thank you. I appreciate it. So, all that being said, now council, it's comment time from anybody that would like. Stephanie or Lucinda, you both wanted to make comments?
Well, Joe and I served on the committee, so I think we have Rich here from the rail line, and then we have other committee members here. I want to thank David Evans and Associates and all the committee members. I think this is a really good example of there were a lot of meetings and there were a lot of opinions, and we collaborated well, I think, to come up with the best possible solution for the space. Rich said I couldn't get rid of that rail line, so much as I wanted to for that bike path, but again, we have to work together and collaborate for all, and so I think this is a really great example of that. Joe and I have spent a lot of time with this, and forgive me, I'd also be remiss if I didn't thank the business owners. Heidi Sauce and Carolyn did an excellent job getting input from the business owners, and we were, I think, very mindful of their concerns. And this plan really started out as a celebration of the businesses along the water. So that's one of the things that we wanted to highlight, is that rich maritime heritage. So when people went down there, they could really experience that. So I just want to thank all of those involved in the process. It was truly a really enjoyable experience.
Stephanie, you had a comment?
Just another comment that I wanted to make, and I am so excited about this plan. I just couldn't stop going through it, and it made me want to get down there and take a look at things. And I appreciate all of those people that worked on this plan, including the Coos Bay Downtown Association that represents its member businesses. But I also serve as the co-chair of the Economic Vitality Committee for the Main Street program in Coos Bay. And I have to echo the immediate things that could be done once this plan is approved would be some paint and signage. And that was identified in the Travel Oregon grant process that we did to put together a plan for economic vitality that's waiting on a shelf for something to happen with it. And I think that would be a good collaboration with the Coos Bay Downtown Association and the city to see what we can do to work on that. But very excited about this. It's wonderful when a plan doesn't get put on its shelf and left there for 20 years. And I really am proud of the council and our staff that have moved this forward.
I'm looking forward to the idea of just spray painting the etching of the bicycle paths down there. I don't think everybody was on council at the time, but it was some years ago. We went to a League of Oregon Cities conference, and one of the presenters presented on this concept of guerrilla curb appeal, essentially, where they went around doing things like that and putting out planters and stuff just to improve the area, and then it would kick on that people would recognize that, okay, it looks good when this thing is here, it's a good idea, let's do that. This reminds me of that. It sounds like fun.
Hey Drew, I just wanted to say that I have a friend in Texas who is friends with it, who I have immediate contact with.
Ha! Perfect.
No, I'm really pleased where it came. David Evans and all the other stakeholders that were involved. This is great. You know, and I think Eric stated it very well. It's a working document. It's somewhat challenging, but that's all right. You know, we got the rail, we got the sidewalks, we got the parking. There's ways to make this work. We all can live down there and make it successful. You know, what's important to me, or what I think is an attraction, is the working waterfront, and that's what this is. Keep that in mind. For us, you know, I walk it all the time, and I kind of get used to it. But you know, to tourists, it's appealing and it's an attraction, and people enjoy that. They enjoy seeing the train come by. They enjoy seeing the tugboats down there from Sauce Brothers and Coos Bay Towboat and all those entities working down there. And Kuntz, you know, they say, well, this is just a working yard, but they like seeing the dry dock back there and what goes on, you know, so it's attraction. So I think we're on to something here. And I know it's going to take some progress and some time, but I think starting on the north end is my preference, and working from Coos Bay Museum down. But you know, that's always going to be open for discussion. We've gone and put in the budget $500,000. I think that's a pretty good start for getting this kicked off. We also gave a grant to the Coos History Museum for $250,000 to do the walkway that will tie into this. So we're a long ways away. I mean, we're on the right track. And also, I think it's important from what Stephanie said, we're tying Coos Bay Village and Front Street to the boardwalk and to the downtown. You know, it's all one area, and that's what we want to do. So anyway, I'm pleased. It's a good start, and now we've got to move forward. I don't think we can move fast enough to keep Lucinda happy, but I think, we can try to do that. Anyway.
I think think Sarah had a comment. Mr.
Sarah?
Mayor?
Yeah, I mean, I just echo the sentiments of our speakers. I'm disappointed to not see a multi-use path that includes accessibility for bikes. Previous to moving to Coos Bay, I didn't actually own a car. In the other communities I lived in, I only biked. Moving to Coos Bay, I didn't have a car. I planned on biking. I lived on 4th Street and was traveling up Ocean to Oregon Coast Community Action, and I risked my life and decided it was time to get a car. So I hear you, and it is a passion of mine to increase not only bike but pedestrian accessibility. I enjoy walking, and our community lacks safe walking in many areas, so I appreciate your sentiments. And while it might not be possible here because of the infrastructure of our city, I encourage you to continue to show up and put this on our radar, because I think there's lots of other places, as you noted, the areas where there's 2 lanes, maybe that goes down to 1 lane, and we put in a really safe bike path. I'm in favor of that, and support your advocacy.
Yeah, and I think we can do it on Front Street, and I think that we can do it, as Jim has stated, whether you, do some paint, or another idea that came up that I think intrigues me. If you go up to Portland during certain times of festivals, they put up those orange cones that are into the street and blocking off the path. That's another way to do it, and not really, incorporate something that's permanent, that's something that you can try. So there's ways to do that and get there and do, some experimenting and find a way to accommodate those things. And so we're going to keep you on task to keep the bike in front of us, right?
Can I just say one more thing,
Sure.
which is that I was really happy to see in the blueprint plan that there was a note around including SBDC,
Coast Development Council.
Yes, thank you. Acronyms. In the overall plan for signage and wayfinding, I think everyone knows I've been displeased with our current wayfinding signs, and so I think having a comprehensive plan for how those can be beautified and really create clear quality signage is important.
Right.
Yeah, I'd like to chime in on this as well. I love what's coming to fruition and the designs that are coming about. I would really like to press the port to see what we could do to make passenger rail, at least even for a small section of Front Street, of viability, so that if we are going to have a railway section straight through the middle of our pedestrian walkways, it would be nice to be able to maybe hop on a train, go back and forth between North Bend and Coos Bay's boardwalk or something. I know I've talked with it informally with port members here and there, and I'd just really like to know what the roadblock is for us to be able to have a small trolley of some sort that goes back and forth.
What's really cool is Rich is actually has some experience in that and has seen that successful in other communities, correct?
I have,
Yeah.
and maybe on a sidebar we can talk, but there has been an opportunity for something like that to happen. Right now, though, the port does not see any passenger line as a viable project at this time.
At this time, well, I'd like to see what the hurdles are and maybe ways that we could overcome them. That's what I would.
Amen.
Also, I think it's important to thank ODOT. We got a $150,000 grant from them for this project and its design, and Carolyn was instrumental in getting that for us. So anyway, all right, are there any more comments from the council? If not, we have action to take. There's a resolution that we need to adopt.
I'll move to, do I have this right? Sorry, I'm on the wrong resolution, I apologize.
Want me to do it?
Yeah, thanks, Carmen.
I move that we continue the public hearing to July 5th, 2022 for review and action to enact an ordinance amending the transportation system plan amendments related to the Front Street Blueprint and approve the Front Street Blueprint with adoption of the attached resolution 22-16.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to move forward with this transportation plan, and adopt resolution 22-16. Is there any other comments or discussion?
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody that was involved in this process. It's, like Stephanie said, it's super exciting to see this moving forward. And I just want to say, I hope now we can direct some attention to the Empire District.
Absolutely. Okay, anyone else? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Jim, Alice, everyone, Carolyn, thank you so much for attending and the presentation. All right.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, so adoption of Resolution 22-17, amending fiscal year 2021-2022 appropriations. Nicole?
That's me, thank you. So tonight, we are taking one last stab at kind of cleaning up our year activity. We've done a little review of the general ledger, and what we try to do usually in the month of June is catch any areas where we might be over budget by line item. And that might sound a little concerning, but we actually appropriate by a larger bucket. So for example, we in the general fund would budget by public safety, so police and fire, dispatch, all in one bucket. We may have some line items amongst that bucket that are over. So we'd like to clean up some of that. That helps us in the future because we can then see actual numbers that were spent in comparison to budgets. It's just a nice thing to do. So what's presented to you tonight is that effort. Actually looks pretty good. There wasn't a lot of adjustments necessary. We're looking in the general fund and 911 fund and hotel motel tax. And one of the elements of this, the other thing that I like to do is not to appropriate unexpected revenues until we believe we're going to need those. It's kind of a way to keep those in the sidelines, which then they carry over. So I did that, or we did that collectively with the North Bend contract. So we're going to appropriate some of those funds. Those were unexpected revenues as we contracted with them in January to begin dispatch service. So we're going to appropriate some of those funds now.
All right, thanks, Nicole. Any questions for Nicole? I mean, it's just, as it says, you know, the adjustment on appropriation levels, and that's what's been presented before us on Resolution 22-17. So can I have a motion to approve that?
I'll move to adopt Resolution 22-17, amending budgeted appropriations for fiscal year 2021-2022.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt Resolution 22-17. Any other comments or questions, concerns? Nope. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is approval of the collective bargaining agreement with ASME represented employees. Roger? Or Nicole?
Yes,
Or both?
thank you, Mr. Mayor. The city has a little over 130 employees, and the majority of our employees are represented by one of three unions. Our three unions are the Coos Bay Police Officers Association, or what we call CBPOA. The second union is the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, or what we call ASME, and the International Association of Firefighter, or IAFF. The city has collective bargaining agreements with all three unions, and each of those unions are scheduled for 3-year periods, and they expire in alternating years. The collective bargaining agreement with ASME is scheduled to expire on June 30th of this year. And I would share that ASME represents our non-management employees in the library, the finance department, public works, and community development. It is the largest of the three unions. The city began negotiating with the management team or the representatives of ASME months ago, but we have arrived at a mutually agreeable collective bargaining agreement. We have provided 2 copies of that agreement, one in legislative format so that you could see what changes have been tentative or actually been ratified by the union at this point, and those tentatively agreed by the city. And the other one is a clean copy for ease of reading. I think the highlights are the cost of living increase for year 1 has been agreed to at 4.5%. Cost of living increases for year 2 and 3, it's unknown what's going to happen. And right now we are in a high rate of inflation. And even though the rate of inflation that we would have gone with normally would have dictated a much higher cost of living increase for year 1, the reality is that the city's cost for doing business is higher because of inflation. But the reality, our revenues are not higher, so we have a limited ability to have large raises. Years 2 and 3, we're basically looking at what is CPI going to be, and we have what's called a floor and a ceiling amount, and that is to protect the city's revenues in case of volatility. The other big change was moving to a different insurance plan. We already use a high deductible health plan. All of our other unions have moved to Plan 4, and this is beneficial to both the city and to the employees, and this group chose that as well. So if it pleases the council, I would ask that you ratify the collective bargaining agreement.
So any questions for Roger? Well, first of all, I want to thank Roger, but we had a management team that was many that were involved. So you had Nicole, Jennifer, Sammy, Melissa, and Carrie that were involved in these negotiations. I know that there were some difficulties at times, but it's always great when we can come to an agreement with our employees instead of going to arbitration. So it's great for the morale. I have been at times when this is not the case, and I can tell you this is much better when we can come to an agreement between the employees and management in the city. So I'm very pleased and want to thank everyone that was involved. So how would you like to proceed?
I'll move that we approve the fiscal year 2023 to 2025 collective bargaining agreement with AFSCME Local 2892.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to adopt the collective bargaining agreement with AFSCME from 2023 to 2025, Local 2892. Are there any other comments? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Thank you so much. Roger, City Manager's report.
Yes, I'd like to express my appreciation to the Front Street Blueprint Committee for your work. And I would just want to relate the importance of a plan and remind the council that in the early 90s, the council began looking at our waterfront and desired to improve our waterfront and to make Front Street more diverse and a productive area as far as our economy, because things had changed. And in reality, many things have changed. It's difficult to remember what things looked like unless you were here in the early 90s. If that were the case, you wouldn't have seen a boardwalk in downtown or a marina. You wouldn't see things like the Tug Irene. And to be honest, without a plan, this council probably wouldn't have seen the vision and purchased the property now where the museum now sits. There were many changes in addition to that that helped move this along to get to the point where you are today, where now you're putting your action plan together. And the reality is Front Street is changing before our very eyes, and many things are gaining momentum, and this will only help spur that along. So it's not only important to have a plan, but it's important to follow the plan and to keep ticking things off, even though things seem to take years. It will make a difference, and I think what you've done today will make an improvement in our future. Related to that, I would share with you that while you approved at the Urban Renewal Agency approved at your last meeting to provide a grant to the Coos History Museum, we completed that grant document, and that's been forwarded over to the Coos History Museum, and I believe that's in the hands of their board to review and comment. If there are any changes, we will be making those that are mutually agreeable, and as soon as that's complete, we'll be able to get them the funds they need so they can help do that next step of extending the waterfront walkway from Coos Bay Village, at least to the southern edge of their property. And then the task will be upon us to, how do we connect that to Front Street? So things are moving along in that as well. I just wanted to also share that later this week, staff will be working out in Empire to put in the repaired floats at our boat ramp, and that we are still waiting, but we expect to get the new floats in by the end of August. So with that, I'll reserve the rest of my comments for executive session.
Okay, thank you,
I
Roger.
have a question.
Yes.
What about the crabbing dock? Where are we at with that?
I believe we are currently waiting on plans, and then we'll be going out for bids to do the repair. Our hope is to get that done before the end of the summer as well.
That's good. All right. Sarah? Council comments. Sarah.
Yeah. 1 in 4 families in our region cannot access childcare. We actually live in a childcare desert. I think some of our members could attest to that. And one of the things that impedes childcare expansion is qualified staff. This week, I'm so happy to share that BOLI has approved the first in the state early care and education apprenticeship program. It will be piloted here in Coos, Curry, and Douglas counties. This is in partnership with Oregon Coast Community Action's Head Start program, the South Coast Regional Early Learning Hub, Southwestern Oregon Workforce Investment Board, Southern Oregon Community College, and UCC. We're really excited to bring this to our region and hope to increase childcare and qualified staff for kids and families that need it.
That's great.
Yeah, thanks.
Good news. Thank you. Rob?
I have no comment this evening. Thank you.
Okay. Lucinda?
I think we were celebrated by Mo for being a progressive city, and I would like to challenge staff to come back with a more progressive way in which we are handling these meetings virtually. I think we've talked about Zoom in the past, and so maybe we can, I'm being a bit facetious, you've heard this from me before, but maybe we can look at Zoom as an alternative. I can see Councillor Kilmer smiling, so I'm sure she would support me 100% in this as your two marketers, wanting to make sure that the audience can hear every detail of these riveting council meetings first. And second, Councillor Miles had talked about now that we've passed the Front Street or we're in process of passing that, we should focus on Empire. So I think Roger has done some work to look at some master planning for the downtown corridor of Empire. So I look forward to that coming back to us in a future council meeting, so we can now begin focusing our efforts on that area as well.
I would just share that we need council direction on that, and that is on your agenda for your work session.
Okay.
Thanks, Roger.
Carmen?
I don't have too much tonight. I would just like to thank everybody who comes to our meetings and wants to engage with the city council and to be involved. And thank you to everybody who applied for the library board. Your volunteerism is important, and that's pretty much all I got.
Okay, thank you. Drew?
So related to the childcare desert, Orca is wrapping up a community needs assessment, and we actually came back with 38% of people with kids saying that they struggle to find childcare.
Yeah.
So if you need a bigger number, let me know, and we got that for
Gosh,
you.
I would have thought it would have been bigger than that.
I did too. I was very surprised.
Yeah, I'm totally shocked. I thought it'd be a lot bigger number.
And then otherwise, I was sitting here being nostalgic as we talk about Front Street and the things that were here in the 90s and weren't. Obviously, I don't remember that terribly well, but I had 2 generations of my family work at Hillstrom's that is down, it was down near the parking lot, that what we're trying to turn into a parking lot because that was where they dumped the paint. And 3 worked at Wall's Shipyard. And I've talked to a member of one of the bigger families around here before about kind of the nostalgia of the way we remember things looking and how they were, but also the recognition that if we cling to that nostalgia, our city won't move forward. And I was just thinking about that as we go through this meeting, is the importance of moving forward from the things that were familiar to us for the betterment of the future. That's all I got.
All right, thank you, Drew. Stephanie?
Yeah, just a couple of things. I've already mentioned that I'm pretty excited about the blueprint, Front Street blueprint plan. Boy, that was a tough one. But I grew up overlooking the waterfront from my parents' home on 3rd Street, just below Telegraph Hill. And it still stops me in my, no matter where I'm going, when I see a ship in the bay turning. And I love that we are incorporating that. And I am old enough to remember before the boardwalk, riding my bicycle on the way all over downtown and along the walk that was very active back in the day, along a dirt lane that just had a path that you could barely fit through. So this is exciting to see, and I think we incorporated traffic down from businesses and businesses that are still working along the waterfront. So kudos to all of these folks who worked on that plan since way back then. And that's all I have.
Thanks, Stephanie. I also want to thank all the comments we got this evening. I enjoyed the public interacting with us and giving us direction and forethought and any ideas that they have. It's important that we hear from you, so thank you so much. I also want to congratulate the library committee members that were appointed, and I want to thank the ones that did apply. Please keep in mind there's other positions coming open for volunteerism, as Carmen mentioned, so keep that coming forward and doing that. I also want to thank this council and staff. You go back and think about what we've accomplished in the amount of time we sit here is immense. Sometimes I think we forget about it. So Front Street's one more piece of the puzzle that we have put in front of us and want to complete. I think we keep enlarging the puzzle though, and so we're adding pieces. Sometimes they're kind of hard for the staff to fit in there the way we want it to, but we'll get there. So anyway, that's the end of my comments. Thank you again so much. We have an urban renewal meeting following right after this, and so if you'd like to stay and participate in that, please do. I'll adjourn the Coos Bay City Council meeting for this evening. Thank you. And Stephanie won't be running the meeting, I understand. Drew will be taking over for the urban renewal.
Cool.
It's all yours.
Anybody want a break or keep running through?
Keep running through.
All righty. So I will open this meeting of the Urban Renewal Agency. Do we have any public comments? Everyone's running away. They don't want to hear this bit. Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Calendar.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. That takes us to executive session. If Nicole could read the, read the statement, ORS.
The Urban Renewal Agency of the City of Coos Bay will now meet in executive session